welcome back to my YouTube channel. And I'm very excited to start this journey of conducting a podcast. Today, we are in the third episode of Voice in Compliance, and I need more support from you. I know you have been supporting me from the day one, and in order to bring more valuable guests and more valuable insights, we need more support. So, I request if you feel these episodes are really helpful for you, it is getting adding to your knowledge. Please do like, comment, and share, and subscribe to this channel. And I would encourage you to drop your opinion in the comment section so that what kind of speakers you need, what kind of people I should bring in, so that it will add value to me and to the community. So, as part of this podcast, we have a guest, Venkat Kumar. He is very expert in AML, sanctions, and financial crime compliance. He is not just an expert; he's also worked as an MLRO. So, being an MLRO is not a very small thing. You have to do a lot of work, a lot of research. You have to be get updated with the day-to-day activities, what is happening over the world. So now he has given time for us to know more about this financial crime compliance and the KYC and AML domain. So he shared very valuable insights, and the insights are very good. So I encourage you to watch this podcast to the end and to drop your valuable feedback or suggestions in the comment section. So based on that, it will be helpful for me. What kind of guest should I bring next time? Okay. So thank you so much for all your support. Let's get into the hi Venkat, thank you for joining me in this podcast. I'm planning to develop a perfect community for the people who are in KYC and AML domain, and thank you for being part in this. And before we actually discuss about the topics in this podcast, I would like you to introduce to the audience, because you have a very vast experience. You have been in you have been in this domain for almost 2 decades. You have seen, like, you might be using Excel as a investigation, and then you moved into automatic tools and all. So we would want to hear about how it started and from where you are now.
All right, yeah. Thanks, Durga, for inviting me on your show. Happy to discuss and share my experiences. So, just a little bit introduction about me. I myself have been into this compliance FCCM space past close to 2 decades now, and in financial crime compliance around 17 years. Working in various roles. So, been associated with some of the banks like HSBC, JP Morgan, and worked with Big Four as well, like PwC, KPMG. And later on, also worked in fintech space, working on the other side of the compliance, which is more in terms of technology implementation of the compliance systems as well, implementing in various countries globally, traveling and doing the financial crime for these countries. So it has been a good journey in my career so far, wherein I got to taste the flavor of different kind of compliance aspects, be it the traditional compliance that we do in terms of investigations in the banks and compliance units. Apart from that, also working on the other side of the compliance, which is how the systems work, how we implement, how we meet the regulatory and the central bank requirements in the respective countries. That's the journey which has helped me throughout my career. And I am a CAMS certified a professional member of A-CAMS currently, and also PMP certified from the Project Management Institution. And yeah, that's a bit about me in a nutshell as an introduction. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Venkat. That's really very inspiring, because 17 years is not a small journey. It is a very big journey. And like, what makes you committed to this profile, like to this domain for such a so long?
That's a wonderful question, Durga. Yeah, because basically, if we look at the vision and the mission of a profile itself, the job profile that we are into in the AML compliance professional space, we are doing good to the society as well. We are the fighters for financial crime compliance. We are protecting the banking systems. We are the backbone behind stopping any kind of financial crime, safeguarding the banks systems as well as the customers trust in the banking system. So that is what is a noble cause which our job carries behind the scenes. So, and also if we look at the different kind of job markets or the professions that we have in our world, so we see AML compliance is always fascinating and important and evolving over the time as well. And there is no organization which can do away without having any compliance operations or solutions. So it is very important for in terms of financial institutions that we have a strong compliance units, which follows the regulatory and the central bank requirements and the government laws and regulation in terms of AML CTF policies as well. So that keeps the engagement with the compliance and the AML domain throughout. As I've seen, this field gives you a lot of opportunity to work cross border with different kinds of financial institutions, different geographies, different laws and regulations. So there is no barrier to it. So you have a lot to learn. You have a vast experience that you can gain out of it, which is again a big motivating factor, where you're not just limiting your knowledge to some single geography, but you're expanding it. That helps you building the networking knowledge in this aspect as well. And over the years, what I have felt and seen is AML compliance has been evolving. Like, it's been a traditional compliance where we used to do manually things, then it became automation. Now AI has come into place. So it's keep on evolving. At the same time, money launderers are finding new ways to defeat the systems as well. That is where we keep ourselves evolving all the time, coming up with new knowledge and skill sets to safeguard the banks. So it is not if you look at it, to sum it up, it's not a monotonous kind of a job. It's very interesting. You keep on evolving and learning and contributing your experience and skills. So that's what made me remain committed to this domain, where I am contributing with my experience, knowledge. I'm learning as well every day, and at the same time, I'm doing something good for the society by safeguarding our financial institutions as well.
Yeah, I'm very curious to ask, how did you made your transition to this extent? Because you have seen many things evolve, like the automatic tools. Previously, we used to calculate the risk rating of a customer on some Excel or some like checklist. Now
Yeah.
everything is done through systems, and now even AI has come, machine learning. We are giving just the keywords. How did you made your transition into this?
Right. That's an interesting question. Like, the journey has not been an easy, because when we, like, if I look at 18, 20 years back, how the compliance that we used to do involving a lot of paperwork, lot of Excel, Word documents, doing manual searches in adverse media applications and all, and then collating all those information and writing our narrative stories for the cases we investigate in transaction monitoring or KYC system. However, one thing is that the transition is about accepting the next trends in the market, like the new technology that is coming into place, and we make a better use of the technology with the work that we are already trying to do, and make it more easier for us day by day. So to reduce, the main transition aspect is to reduce the manual intervention and then bring in some technology, so that our day-to-day life in a job of a compliance officer becomes easier, right? So we have to, the challenge we see is to come out of a shell from a traditional compliance, from the manual intervention, and to adapt to the compliance technology, and the new tools and techniques that are coming in. So that is a challenge, but when we focus on it, we do hard work and focus, we want to make something and achieve out of it, makes things easier, then the things becomes more interesting and over the time. So that is where I have seen, when, as you rightly know, that we do manual intervention, manual investigation. We spend a lot of time investigating some typical cases in our day-to-day life. But over the years, I have seen a trend, time when we have the automation in place, where we create bots, and the bots would do a little bit of investigation for us and get the information for the compliance officers as a part of the assessments, and keep all the identification, be it transaction, identification of your red flags, fetching the information of that cases from the system that you're using readily in front of you in a Word document in a span of within 4 or 5 minutes, which usually a compliance officer would have taken half an hour or 30 minutes to do that. So in a way, it has reduced the time spent on the investigation using this automation. So that has helped a lot in reducing the efforts, the hard work done by this manual interventions. And then I've also seen the transition where now AI has come in, the chat GPT has come in. A lot of our AML compliance applications that are available in the market, which financial institution used, they are heavily using it to find the automated risk models. So earlier, as you mentioned, we used to do the risk calculation in KYC. Now we have a developed and tested globally accepted regulated risk models, say your algorithm risk model or your rule based risk model. Using the parameters, the system will automatically calculate the risk score. So that is a kind of a advantage that we have in this compliance field, which has helped reduce this dependencies on the Excel spreadsheets and all, right? So I look it as an advantage, and adapting and accepting it's a way of achieving a better efficiency. Now, the thing is that if what I am trying to say is if we cannot completely depend on this, the transition is important because whatever things you look at, right, the models or the subject, be it automation or be it AI in AML compliance, behind that there is a human brain involved. That is our experience and skills and the knowledge is involved, right? So using which we have developed these models to work and function for us. So that transition always there is a dependency on our skill set and knowledge as well. No matter how much AI and automation tool might give us the information and data, but at the end of the case or a day, as a human, as a experienced AML professional, we have to make the final decision, right? Looking at all the red flags and identifications. So there is definitely a manual dependency is required in terms of decision making is concerned. So it goes hand in hand, but at the same time, using and leveraging these technologies, we have made around 50-60% of our investigation process a bit easier, more accurate, and quality driven as well.
Yeah, if you can share any real life case of transaction monitoring or maybe terrorist financing, like if, without revealing the key sensitive information, and like what is the typology you identified, maybe how it started, how it was detected, how it was raised SAR report. Like if
Mhm.
you can share any one or two.
Okay, sure, no problem. Yeah, I can share some examples. I've seen several cases where even as a money laundering or reporting officer, MLRO, I filed some of them. I recall I was working in one of the leading banks in Australia province, and I was head of compliance as an MLRO. So our team came across a typical case where it is related to an import and export industry, the clients and all. But yeah, so it was more from import and export industry. So what we saw is in the system in transaction monitoring, a lot of alerts used to generate on this particular customer for a large reportable transaction typology. So it used to be large transactions. So that was also not our concern, but these transactions were happening to a high risk countries frequently to the counterparties. And these counterparties, which were situated in high risk countries, were making a lot of payments to this particular customer as well, who is involved in electronic import and export business. We started getting alerts, our team started investigating it, and then when we started doing due diligence on this, we identified some of these counterparties sitting in these high risk countries do not have any kind of physical presence. It's came to be known only when we did a very thorough investigation. We reached out to the customer through the RFI request to asking a lot of information while we were doing investigation. We found that eventually on the same address there are different companies. The same companies being registered in a same address where there were when they inquired and checked it with physical visits and all, we couldn't find those companies at all. So though they were existing on paper, they were more like a shell companies. So the and backtracking all this to the transactions from where it originated and why this customer was doing. For example, some of the transactions, being an electronic company, he was trying to pay for the invoices from these counterparties for buying palm oils, which is nowhere being used in these electronic companies and gadgets and all. So it was not making sense even in the line of business. There were a lot of red flags for these large transactions, then rapid movement of fund, moving this transaction out of his account after he receives the funds, migrating it to different countries. So all this was suspicious, and even then, as a protocol in compliance space, we generally do not arrive at a conclusion, right, until we have a lot of evidences and all. So when our investigation team finally found that the customer is also not supportive, is not collaborating with us, When we are doing investigation, we ask a lot of documentation, the reasons for transaction. So it was not at all comfortable to share any of the information. So that was itself a big red flag for us, in addition to what we had. So that is when we filed a suspicious report. It went on to the central bank and FIUs, and after a long investigation process, it was found to be accurate, and we had to exit and offboard that customer relationship with the bank.
Yeah, here there's one question because you mentioned that you went there to fiscally verify the business, but in general, that is the actually the process of LEA because I'm not sure whether we have that right to go and fiscally verify the business because it is somewhere in a different country. Like how do we start? Is it LEA's responsibility or the bank can actually go and check the fiscally?
No, no, that's right. We will not be going from a compliance team. So we are never a point of contact with the customer directly because we are a second line of defense. So it is more the relationship manager of that customer who manages these aspects. So the to reach out to the allies in the countries where he is doing the transactions, trying to find out from the local sources, engaging the local sources in those countries with which we, the bank, as RMs, had the interactions, trying to arrange a physical visits to those counterparties places, and also as a RM themselves go to the customer's profile because he is our customer. So RMs make a effort from the first line of customer facing department to go and visit the customer's place, try to talk in person if they're not responding on email or a phone call, try to get the information in person. So that was also is not a collaborative. It was found not to be available at the place and address. And when the counterparties were checked in the other countries using different kind of sources and Alice using third parties and all, the addresses were could not were found with different kind of company names, and the names of the counterparties addresses found were not at all existing there exactly. So it's not the compliance department, but yes, the front end departments and the third parties that get involved in these kind of investigations.
Okay, you have worked as an MLRO. If I may ask, what will be the roles and responsibilities or a day activities of an MLRO? Because we have seen many cases where because the so and so bank has been fined for so and so breach, and the first thing they speak about is MLRO. It is the responsibilities of MLRO. So,
Right.
what exactly your roles and responsibilities? Like, what is the risk you take it?
Yeah. It's a crucial role because when we get as appointed as an MLRO, prior to that, you have a lot of interviews with the central bank and the FIU. We have to go through the fit and proper process where we qualify the role, acceptance, everything. And then they give us the license to be appointed as an MLRO. So we carry a lot of responsibility on our shoulders on behalf of the group compliance, wherein our day-to-day activities will be the first and foremost is to be act as the point of contact between the bank's compliance and the FIU, the regulators. So as a MLRO, it was my job to proactively go and report to the regulators if there is any breach in the bank. So that is one way of doing your job properly. Like if you identify something is gone wrong or something, even for example, a transaction monitoring system or your core banking system, some of the reports are not generating or some of your transactions are not getting captured, which you are supposed to report on a weekly basis as a currency reporting requirements and all. If that is not functioning as a MLRO, it is my responsibility to proactively go and inform the FIU that this is a breach. I'm reporting a self breach with all the information, what has happened, what is the issue, when is the team going to fix it, and I will come and again update you once it is fixed. So that is one of the key responsibility where I act as a point of contact and proactively keep the central bank and FIU informed. Then the second aspect in terms of group compliance, I have to be lead the compliance practice and the verticals under me. So I have to ensure that the enhanced due diligence KYC program, the investigations are running properly, the quality is met, we are offboarding the customers who are finding to be suspicious. That is one vertical that I used to look after. Then the other aspect is the investigations team, which closely works and monitors any kind of adverse media happening in the market. So, for example, anything which comes in the news as well, some big scam has happened or anything, and that scam or any kind of suspicious thing, we try to investigate using this team, where we try to find the nexus if any of our customers in our banks are involved in this, because it is always important to be proactive in this case, because if somewhere down the line we are connected to these scams, we have to identify such customers who are in getting involved, and we have to offboard and report the star on them. So that is one of the investigation team which used to work, which had the confidential data with them which cannot be shared with other departments also. Then the training team, where I used to oversee the training team. We create the training content for all the different kind of departments, as well as the other subsidiary nations who fall under the group compliance, individually as specific to their geography, as well as the headquarters as well, and roll out this compliance trainings online as well, and go to the branches and train the branches as well as per their requirement what they need to do, ensure that these are timely completed in a year. And besides this, there was a program management as well, which includes your renewal of AML CFT policies, anti-corruption bribery policies, conflict of interest, gift policies. All this has to be revisited from time to time. If there are any changes in the group compliance group organizations rules and policies, that has to be incorporated and approved by the board and the compliance committee as well, and enroll it, make it live. So all these things I used to look into as an MLRO. One more important aspect is timely reporting. Like we report the transactions which has happened in the past 15 days. We proactively report their suspicious transaction reports, gets filed electronically to the central bank for the FIO of the central bank. So all these were the important regular day-to-day works that we had to carry out.
Yeah, you mentioned about you will be interviewed by the regulators and FIUs to
Yeah.
get the license.
Yeah.
So, is there any specific qualification, not qualification, I may ask, like certification that is required before we appear for an interview?
Absolutely, yeah. So basically, there are a lot of roles and responsibilities which they expect from MLRO that is going to be appointed. The first thing is that they expect the organization which is going to appoint an MLRO, they do the interview first, and they see if they're fitting into their culture, their requirements as an MLRO. And that's when the organization, say for example, is a bank is quite confident, then they would take up all the documentation and create a case with all the supporting aid documents, certificates, and they submit it to the central bank or the FIU. And that's when they will review it, monitor it, and they will call for an interview. They will send an invite where a group of leading experts and SMEs from the regulatory FIU bodies come and do a 1 or 2 rounds of interview, do in depth checking on our knowledge, where our skills, our experience, where we have worked, how we have contributed, what all we can do as an MLRO, whether we are capable of handling those responsibilities. They will try to test on all these aspects, and then they give us a fit and proper, which is called a kind of a approval letter, by which you are granted to be appointed as a licensed MLRO for the bank, and you can carry on your responsibilities. In terms of certification, yes, that is one of the major criteria I have seen. The CAMS, A-CAMS is globally recognized golden standard certification. So if you have A-CAMS with you and a good amount of experience, minimum like 10 to 15 years in AML compliance space, working for global organizations, that is definitely a very important tick in a checkbox, which they would be considering, because person who is CAM certified there and having these many years of experience, they give it a lot of importance and value, because this person will have that skill set knowledge, as well as being a professional certified person, he can handle those kind of roles. So that is definitely important.
Okay, like what is your contribution towards like ACAMS member? You mentioned you are a member of ACAMS.
Yeah.
Like, what is your contribution?
See, being an ACAMS member, I just not only restrict to myself, it helps me enhancing the knowledge from time to time. We will have a lot of access to ACAMS, latest developments and all. So from my side, I utilize and leverage that knowledge. I encourage my team members, my peers, my colleagues in the teams as well. I try to help them in acquiring those certifications as a CAMS, ACAMS. So I try to mentor them, provide whatever best possible sessions or training and I can give to them time to time. In fact, when I was an MLRO, I used to proactively take some time out of my schedule and train some of the senior managers in my compliance team who have enrolled for ACAMS to complete the certification. So those sessions, those trainings, concepts and all help them a lot to pass out ACAMS, and in turn, again, they can help out their team members in achieving some of the certification under ACAMS or any other local AML compliance certifications available in the respective countries. That is, in a way, you are helping not only yourself in evolving, increasing your knowledge, you're also helping your peers and other compliance professional in achieving the standard of certification. And again, they in turn spreading that. So in a way, they are all getting certified as compliance professionals and helping safeguarding the organization and adding value wherever they're working. And not only that, I have involved in a lot of compliance sessions as well. Some of the sessions organized by Indian ACAMS chapters and well, did a session in Sydney as well last year, one UK as well when I got invited for financial seminars involving ACAMS as well. So delivering some sessions on some of these topics helps a lot. We learn a lot, we gain experience as well. At the same time, we are also doing contributing in this financial crime market as well.
Can you name any project that is like most satisfying because you have led so many projects as of now? So any one project which gave you more satisfaction or that is more you can say very challenging and interesting?
Yeah, sure. There have been many. So, the most satisfying I would recall it is for one of the largest bank in Libya. So that I was working, I think it was almost 6, 7 years now. So I went to Tunisia in a northern Africa country. I was there for almost a year. So it was a more of a regulatory project where we did the AML compliance implementation for the bank some time ago. After a span of 2 years, where regulators who visited the bank, and there were a lot of observation for the banks in terms of the systems they were using for screening, transaction monitoring, KYC. They were not happy with whatever existing rules and everything where their watch list they were using. And also, they acquired a cards business like the Visas and Mastercards for which they were not having proper monitoring controls or scenarios defined in the system to generate alerts. So a lot of observations were made, pending backlog of alerts, though the system were generating alerts every day for 4, 5 scenarios. But there is no proper tool who reviewed them. So it went on to hundreds and thousands of backlog of alerts left unreviewed. So all this led to a big observatory note. And that's when I was interviewed, I was invited by the bank's management and the CEO to come and help the bank on and act as a spokesperson in remediating these things in front of the regulators. So it was a large project for a year, which involved a lot of reputation for the bank in the market as well. So I was carrying those responsibilities on me. So that was the first time for me as well in my career where I faced the regulators directly, coming from different geographies like Russia, South Africa, and all. So I used to sit in the hot chair in a neutral venue, not a bank, not even regulators place. It's a neutral place where we both the teams come. We sit on behalf of bank. I was giving all the explanation how the systems are working, what is implemented, what are the current processes are in place to the regulators. They make a note of it, observations, and try to tell these are the things which are not going wrong, and we have already given our observations. So trying to convince them at some point of time for their points, like say our screening system is running very well, but in fact there are some loopholes, right, in that which has to be fixed as identified by the regulators. So that conversation is always very difficult. As a bank, we try to defend and save ourselves, but at the same time, we cannot neglect the fact that the observation given by the regulator is important. We have to fix that as well. So those are always heated and difficult discussions that happens. So that was quite a bit of learning for me. I learned how to deal those kind of discussion, how we have to come out of it and fix those things as well. So over a period of discussions, we finally came out with the actual remediation project where we started enhancing the systems. We tried to fine tune the scenarios that are there. We added new set of scenarios to monitor cards. We enhanced the entire KYC system, redefining the risk parameter. We added new watch lists taking from the third party like World Check and all. So we enhanced the entire systems aspect. Then apart from that, I also developed the transaction monitoring process for level 1, level 2, level 3, and including MLRO filing. It went through a lot of iteration, and the process got finally approved by the compliance committee and the board of directors, which the bank is currently using as their process document for dealing with transaction monitoring, which was not there earlier. And I also trained the compliance team in setting up the level 1, level 2, what will be their job and responsibility, how they have to perform a QC on the cases, documenting as well as training onto it. So it was a long process. I visited couple of times on site to do all these aspect in person as well, staying facing the regulators, auditors as well from time to time, their interviews. So that was a very challenging project, that I would say. It was very tough time, but at the same time I also look at it in a positive way, that I was able to handle those pressure kind of situation. And today, whenever I face those kind of things or regulators, those experiences, those discussions, and how I achieved in fixing those helps me a lot in finding a solution in the current situations.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. Building something from the scratch is like not just a simple thing.
Yeah.
And if I may ask, like now young professionals after working for 5 to 6 years, 7 years, now they want to move, go to abroad, maybe working in the same compliance or AML domain. So is there any roadmap that we can follow this so that we can go and work for like Western countries or maybe Europe?
Yeah, definitely. That is always an open chance and opportunity, because, as I rightly said in the start, that AML compliance has no boundaries, right? We, as a financial crime experts, we always deal with different kind of geographies. For maybe sitting in India or Middle East as well, I might be working for one of the bank which is maybe headquartered in Singapore or US or UK, and as a subsidiary, as a part of the bank in this country, I have to learn and the policies, procedures, rules, regulation of those country, as well as the country in which the organization is operating. So I have to keep on self evolving myself. And so in a way, if you see, it is a open forum. You have a vast roadmap ahead. If you gain knowledge in the AML compliance space of those countries, understanding their regulation, and if you get an opportunity, one of the opportunity in my career, I can maybe I can suggest, is like when I got an on-site opportunities while working in some of these consulting firms and banks, wherein I got an opportunity work, go abroad, train those banks, implement these compliance solutions and processes. So in a way, you build the network there, right? So you build the network, you understand how the compliance professionals work there, what is the roadmap, how are their careers progressing there. So from that aspect, from my experience, I have seen in the Gulf market, in the Middle East, you see the compliance professions are highly valued. They're very important in the society because the financial market is growing, and they give a lot of importance to the compliance professionals who are certified. They want experienced people. So they give opportunities hiring from abroad. Even same in the UK as well, with FCA becoming very strict and regulated. Lot of opportunities in the Europe side as well. So definitely, the key to this is having networking in place. If we have networking, we may not know suddenly one of the organization looking at our knowledge and skills, they might give us an opportunities. And whenever we get that, we should not think about the geography and all, but go and grab that opportunity, because there is a lot of learning that is involved. And so once you have an international experience on your CV, that definitely opens the room and market for your other opportunities in other countries as well. So it's a large world. You can keep exploring and traveling and working in these organizations. Yeah.
Yeah, in this scenario, does ACAMS add any benefit to go abroad, like outside?
Yes, definitely. That's a very good question. So ACAMS plays a very vital role because I have seen that. Honestly speaking, I have seen that ACAMS compliance professionals are highly respected, and their knowledge is valued, their advice is valued. Even be you sit in any of the discussions with any of the senior management of the banks or the compliance committee board meetings. So if you are a CAMS certified, the leadership team always is looked at in that way in the global market, which I've witnessed, especially when I've seen in UK, I've seen in Kuwait as well when I was on site, in the Middle East, Africa as well. They respect a lot if you have a CAM certification. So that definitely helps a lot. And I would suggest also the professionals in compliance who are at like say maybe 5 to 8 years now, they're already into this domain. So that would be the right time because they already have gained a sufficient amount of experience in this domain, and now adding to it, if they do ACAMS, they are now globally certified as a golden standard, right? And now using both of this experience and the certification, they can keep evolving in their current job profile, also find the on international opportunities. So that adds a value to their career as well.
Yeah, can you talk about like PMP, because most of them aware of ACAMS, but
Yeah,
PMP very few will be aware of it. Like, what
absolutely.
does it like? How it will be useful for the people in KYC or AML domain?
Correct. Absolutely. That's a good question. So, PMP, see how things have been if you work in any of the compliance units in banks, or if you work in any of the financial units in the bank, you will definitely see the compliance team will always have some projects besides the regular operations that they do. These projects can be enhancement of the existing AML compliance systems, or it could be some kind of automation. So, if you see, they always, and thing is, if you as a compliance professional, you are in any of the consulting firms, like say any of the big four or any of the consulting firm where you also do this kind of projects, where you are a SME of the subject, but at the same time, if you have a project management skills as well, so you can play the dual role of doing the management of the project from end to end, as well as you can contribute as an SME, so that you are doing a dual role here and you are increasing your value as that particular professional. Your importance in that role and the project will also grow eventually because you are able to take two hats and do a good role. So PMP helps you in understanding the projects, leading and delivering the projects within time, budget, and quality. Because if you look now, even any of the financial institution, any of the consulting firms, or even for some of the IT organization, whatever clients that they work for, it is a project based, right? It is a short term project, long term project, or it can be a big engagement where they look it as a project, where a particular program director, program manager, or a project manager will handle the stakeholders, internal, external, run through the project plan throughout the phase, working at different stages, starting execution, completing go live as well. So everywhere you need a project manager. So this PMP certification in the compliance space is very important if you work in the fintech organizations or any of these consulting firms where they do projects which are for compliance. And when you have the PMP certification along with CAMS, it becomes an excellent combination, because one side you are being looked as a SME who is having in-depth compliance knowledge, and you are CAM certified. At the same time, you are the program lead as well, who can manage the project independent because you are a PMP certified as well. And from my experience, I have seen, if you look in the Middle East market, or you look in the Europe or a bit of Africa side as well, you see lot of opportunities for project management professionals. How come it is in AML compliance as well? So that is a deadly combination. So when you have this, it helps a lot. So just tell about PMP. It's not that expensive compared to ACAMS and well. It can be achievable. It is given by PMI board, and it's a very tougher exam. We have to attend a lot of sessions initially after we enroll into PMP to understand the various concepts of project management. Then we will have an internal tests as well, and we need to have at least 36 hours of any of the project management experience in any of our current organizations that we work. It's one of the requirement which our managers or mentors can provide us if we have worked in any of the engagements. So using all these things, we have to put up our application. So once it's get approved, we can enroll for the exam, prepare it, and we can give that exam. I think we will have around three chances to qualify for the pass that exam. That's what they provide. So once we are certified, we will have the certification valid for 1 year. And the membership, similarly like CAMS, we have to renew the membership as well to keep using these credentials most of the time.
Yeah, Venkat. And I have few topics which always comes into a debate. Like for example, shell companies. Shell companies are illegal, and there is
Mhm.
one more company called shelf companies. But most of them they say shelf companies are legal companies. So what is that like? Is it true like shell companies are illegal and shelf companies are legal? Just that they have books.
It's a difficult thing to conclude because we cannot say it is true as well as we cannot say it's false. For example, some of the organization create a holding companies, right? Just for the purpose of doing their business activity for some period of time, where they will park these funds, and that holding companies can be a kind of a shelf companies or it could be a shell companies as well until and unless we do thorough diligence on them, investigate and find it out. So we will never know whether they are legally registered or not, or if they are just being used as a channel to perform these kind of suspicious things. But yes, to some extent, some will be like legal organizations sometimes if they are, but they won't call it as a shell companies, but just as a holding companies for the time being to conduct their business transactions. And once the business is over and legitimate, they will close those holding firms as well. So in those cases, in very rare cases, it can be a genuine legitimate, but majority of the times, as we can see, shell companies, from my experience, as far as I've seen, they have never found to be genuine. They are always suspicious.
Yeah, if I may ask, like, what suggestions could you give for the young professionals who started their career in KYC or AML domain?
Yeah, I would definitely suggest that look at the opportunity as a world class and a great opportunity that young AML compliance professionals have got, because it's one of the very interesting job field where we put on our thinking hats on a daily basis, doing investigation, looking at different things. We make our brains think a lot from a kind of an investigator perspective, so that helps her increase her analytical knowledge, investigation skills as well in identifying the threats in terms of AML, CTF things. So I would suggest that in the initial stages of their career, any AML compliance professional should look at learning the process well, understanding the concepts of AML and compliance, not just restricting them to the region they're working, but from the global perspective. Now since we have lot of chance and freedom to access lot of material and content online, things have been easier compared to 10-15 years back. You have a lot of things available freely as well to learn, understand, keep yourself updated on the latest regulations, laws, policies, do the investigation. I know that now ChatGPT has come, so a lot of organization, even at a level one level, they are starting to use that. But my honest suggestion is not to do that, but to spend a lot of time and investigate it manually as well, so that your skills improves. That how you perform your adverse media searches, how you identify public domain, how you run the screening hits and mitigate them or identify. So all this can be achieved when you do it manually and thoroughly, hands-on, just not by using some chat GPT or AI, but do that in the initial stages until you gain that knowledge and confidence how to do it. And in the initial stage itself, I would suggest after 4 or 5 years, if they can do some certifications as well, like in ACAMS, you have transaction monitoring certification, you have a KYC certification to start with. Then later on, you can go for ACAMS as well. Or if required in India, we can do AML and KYC certification from IIBF, which I also did earlier in my career. You have a V skill certification from government. from Indian government recognized, which is AML KYC certification. These are not very overpriced or all, but they're very nice to learn and good to have in your earlier stages of your career, which gives you some kind of certifications on the CV as well as the experience which you're gaining from the organization while working. So that's where you build a strong base as an early professional on which in later on you develop and become a senior professional using the experience over the time.
Yeah, Venkat, thank you so much. I have one scenario, it's like it's completely based on the company itself. I mean, the organization itself. It is not a bank. It is a fintech company. They found out that one of their customers are doing business with sanctioned country. Say, for example, they are doing business with Cuba, which means they are importing Cuban rum or maybe Cuban cigars, and they are selling in the restaurants. This restaurant is the client of a bank, a fintech company.
Okay.
So, but definitely, as per as my understanding, what we do, because they are directly in relations with the Cuba, which is a sanctioned country,
Yep.
and even these products are not even listed on the general license.
Okay.
So we'll offboard the client.
Right.
That is my understanding. But what that company or that fintech company is doing, they are reaching out to the customer, asking that you are doing business with Cuba. So for doing only for Cuba jurisdiction, you find another vendor,
Mm, mm.
then we can now onboard you. So is it like tipping off, or like is it any loophole they are using it? Like how we have to see this scenario?
So this goes in more from the customer acceptance policy, right? So if your customer, you have to have a strict customer acceptance policy where you are not onboarding any customer or you're not encouraging that customer to do business with any of the entities who are in a sanctioned countries. So that is a risky. So the second point which you mentioned, right? That's right. You're tipping off the customer when you're doing this investigation and you're finding out and you are giving an opportunity to that customer, you're tipping it off. But again, from a customer, that case, I think it was okay. It's not that not a wrong decision, I would say, from the business perspective as well as the risk perspective.
Thank you, Venkat. Thank you so much for your valuable time. This session is really helpful. It gives me so much of insightful, not only for me to the community. And thank you so much again for joining me in this.
No problem. It was pleasure talking to you, and I wish everyone who are listening and hearing to the session a very good year ahead, a healthy, happy year ahead. I wish you all good success in your career as well, and happy to help and assist anytime. Thank you, and have a great day ahead.
Thank you, Venkat.